The Textures Nordic Christmas Stag A5 stamp and die set is a set of 2 stamps and 2 dies that coordinate. Now the idea with these is that you can use them in multiple different ways. So you can use the stamps on their own to create just a beautiful image of these snowflakes and fun Christmas and wintry words kind of just coming out of the stag shapes and their typical stag silhouettes. You could use them along with the dies as well, so you could actually stamp and then die cut the stag shape out, use just that because it's got the pattern in the side, or overlay and such. I'll show you on the cards in a minute some different ways of doing that, or you can just use these shapes on their own. I've got a couple of examples for you before we just have a play with this. So this is the large stag head used here, so I've stamped that in black. I've then used the die to cut out the shape of the stag and place that over a wood grain paper, so I've just raised that up on foam pads. So that's one way you can use that. I've also used the second stamp here with the full stag shape, and then I've die cut into that and I've placed behind it a brown stamped image. So on the top one I've added silver embossing, and then I've stamped the brown underneath and layered that behind, so that you've got this sort of multi-coloured stamped effect look here. And then I've taken this stag shape and I've actually used that on something completely different. So I've used that on this tag here, tag shaped card here that I've created. I just added some extra because that had silver embossing powder on it, so I added some extra ink and such to that. So I'm using everything that I'm cutting out, but you can also just use the dies on their own. So here I've just used the die with the Nordic Christmas embossing folder here, that's just that stag head there, and the same here as well. I've stamped and then just used that and not the outside, but I've also used elements from these stamp sets to decorate the back of this tag. So you can see it is really versatile and you can use it in lots of different ways. So let's just do a very quick stamp and die cut just so that you can see how it works. So I'm going to pop onto grey cardstock here. Let's do the large stag head because it's a little bit clearer for you to see here. So just peel these off and pop that in the centre there. Now this is a really large area of solid stamp here, so you may find with any stamping platform or any ink that you may need to go over it a few times to get the entire image filled in. In fact, my ink pad is starting to dry out a little bit, so I'll definitely need a few goes of this just to get that solid impression. I really must replace this. Let's lift this over and do the first impression. Now there's a lot of detail in these snowflakes and these words as well, an awful lot of detail. So make sure you press all over there. See, I've just missed a tiny little bit there, but you can see that detail. In fact, if I press down on there, that should transfer. There we go. That's not too bad at all. So let's just give it a little bit more. You can see how my ink is starting to run out. So I think I'll be going to replace that. I'll be ordering another one of these today. Just go over this again, layer it up, but you can heat emboss this as well. You don't have to just do stamping. You could do coloured stamping, you could do ombre stamping if you wanted to as well. So there's lots of different options for you with regards to the stamping effect. You could even just do a watermark if you wanted to with a clear ink. There we go, that's darker, isn't it? So you can see the image that we've got there. So you've got the snowflakes and the words here, but then you've got the negative into the solid. So you've got the word flurry, there's a negative there as well, and these snowflakes. That took quite a long time to design, but I really loved the look of this. So what I'm going to do now is use the stag head and just place this over the top of that silhouette. So like I say, that on its own makes a really pretty card, and because you've got words in the design, you don't even need to use an additional sentiment for that. So I'm just going to take something here, just a little bit of low tack tape, and I'm just lining that up as best I can. Pop that on there and then see if I've got another little bit of tape just to place on the other side, and I'm just going to run this through my die cutting machine. Just gently peeling that tape off there and pop the tape back on my machine, and what you'll find is you've got that gorgeous silhouette cut out there behind the antlers. That's absolutely perfect. So now I can pop this onto a card on its own, and it's got the detail in there. I've then got the silhouette as well, so I could pop behind there an additional coloured or patterned paper if I wanted to, but you could also pop a really lovely bright colour underneath, or a gold, a mirror card, and place this back on top along with some foam pads, so that's just raised up a little bit, and that's where you get this effect, much like this. So you can just see that colour peeking out, and it really raises it up and lifts it up. And you could even do a little bit of shaping on this if you wanted to, if you had ball tools, embossing ball tools. So that's how you use the Nordic Stamp A5 stamp and die set. Have some fun with this, and please do show me examples if you create beautiful projects with them.